Hi, we're in my flat today, and this is my hot water cylinder, which is an Oso Super S. And as you can see, the pressure relief is passing. Some people might not know what that is, but that is water coming through the tun dish, and it's coming from the pressure relief valve under that lid. So you don't want to be seeing that. So we take the lid off. And what have we got in here? We've got two expansion vessels, and that is purely because they couldn't fit, one big one in there. So they managed to squeeze two little ones in there. So we're looking at the book here, and we're looking at safety and servicing. Intermittent or slow discharge from tun dish, or continuous very hot discharge from tun dish. If it's very hot, basically contact a competent engineer. Mine is just the water's cold coming through the tun dish. So I'm going to have a go at this myself, even though I'm not qualified to work on unvented cylinders. I'm still going to do this in my own property. So first job is to turn off the power to the cylinder. My sockets don't seem to work, so I've turned it off at the fuse board. So first job, what we're going to do, we're going to turn the water off to the flat. That's the stopcock to stop all the water to the flat, and it also stops any water entering the cylinder. So we're then going to go and open a hot tap, which will take any pressure out. It will take any pressure out of the cylinder. The cylinder will still be full, but there'll be no pressure behind it, and any excess water will have come out of the taps. It then asks me to turn each of the pressure relief valves. There's a temperature and a pressure. There's two different pressure relief valves there. One is the expansion relief valve, and one is the temperature and pressure relief valve. So by turning the diagram upside down, we can see which ones are which. That was the temperature and pressure relief valve. That will open up at 10 bar, or if the temperature goes over 90 degrees. So I've just turned that, and it's just released some more pressure through the tun dish. Yeah, now we're going to check the two expansion vessels, which should be pressurized to 3.5 bar. After speaking to Oso, if there's a problem with the cylinder and the expansion vessels haven't been pumped up, and therefore there's an excess of pressure building up in the cylinder when the hot water heats up, because water expands and it needs the expansion vessels to push against. The expansion relief valve 8 bar will always open up first. If that fails, then you've got the backup of the temperature and pressure relief valve, which will open up at 90 degrees or 10 bar. So I've just checked these, and they are basically flat and on 0 bars. Both expansion vessels were on 0 bar. and that's why the pressure relief valve has been dripping, and that's why we've been seeing water coming out of the tun dish, because the cylinder has over pressurized, the pressure relief valve's opened up, and then we've got water coming through the tun dish. Often when pressure relief valves open up, or they keep opening up because you've not serviced the expansion vessels, they can just pass and keep dripping afterwards, in which case you can either possibly clean them or replace them. Right, I've just pumped these up to 3.5 bars. I've done one. Now we're on the second one, which is on 0, as I said before. So they both were completely flat, and they would have just been full of water pushing against the diaphragm inside. There will have been no air in there whatsoever. So I've pumped them both up, water back on. Let the water run through the taps to get any air out of the system. You can see the air's coming out and spitting the water everywhere all over my floor. But let it run. Right, we've pumped both expansion vessels up. We've actually still got quite a drip coming out of through the tun dish. So I've just opened one of the pressure relief valves again, and I can't seem to stop it dripping. So what are we going to do now? If this had been serviced, this cylinder, and the expansion vessels had been repressurized, this would have never happened. But now we've got a dripping pressure relief valve. So what we're going to do, we turn the water off. Why we are taking this pressure relief valve off? This is the 8 bar. This is the expansion relief valve 8 bar. As I said before, after speaking to Oso, they said if any pressure relief valves opened up, it'll be that one first. So if you've got a leak and it's cold water coming through your tun dish, that's the issue with that one. It'll be, if it's hot water coming through your tun dish, you've got quite a serious issue, and it'll be your other pressure relief valve. So I've took the head of this pressure relief valve off. Osos did say you're more than likely going to need to replace it. I did say, is it worth cleaning it? They said probably not, but that's up to you. So stupid me, I'm going to give it a little clean. This often works with combi boilers. When you clean them, you can see that little circle ridge. That basically, when it snaps open and then it closes on that little brass seat in there that I'm trying to just clean the edge of with my screwdriver. So if you think when it's sitting on that, that's what's sealing it. And if that's sealed, then you shouldn't be getting any water dripping out of your tun dish. So I'm pretty confident this is going to work, but we will see. As in with combi boilers, I've used a little bit of silicone grease as well on the seating. So when that sits back, there's just a little bit of grease on there too. So we're going to screw that back in. And hopefully when I fill the cylinder back up so it's under pressure again, it's not going to pass through that pressure relief valve. We're not going to see any drips in that little plastic tun dish. That tun dish is basically just a thing so you can see if there's any drips, and it's actually worse now. It's actually worse. So I gave it a go, but here I am a week later. I've ordered one off Oso. It comes with a grey head now, but that is the correct one. I've double checked. So let's change the whole pressure relief valve now. for new. We're not messing about. Let's do it properly. We did give it a go. So, first job before I did this was to again take the pressure out of the cylinder by turning the mains water off, turn all the hot taps on. We've got no pressure. The cylinder's full of water, but there's no pressure, so we can take that flexible connection off. Then we're going to take the whole body off with the grippers. So a lot of people, when they have these cylinders in their houses or flats, don't think that they need servicing, that they do need servicing. I've been in this flat for a few years now. It was a couple of years old before I moved in. So this cylinder's not been touched for 5 years, and that's why now I'm having to replace parts. If it had been serviced each year, that pressure relief valve would have never opened up. And if it never opened up, it would never pass. But it's the continuously opening up of it where it gets damaged. So I've took it off. We've got the new one there. The new one's got that nice black washer on. And so there's no need for any tape to be put on the thread or anything. That washer will seal. Make a good seal. Right, well we need it tight on, but we also need it facing the right way. So hopefully it'll work out. Well, we can keep going around. We're getting a bit stiff, but hopefully we can get another half a turn and get it in the correct place. So these cylinders do need a little bit of care. And like I said, even though I'm a gas engineer, I'm actually not qualified to work on these, because if these are not serviced, and if those pressure relief valves for some reason didn't work, so they didn't let the water out of the tun dish, and the cylinder just over pressurized and there was nowhere for the water to come out of, you know, the cylinder could, in theory, explode, split, burst. Could be quite a dangerous situation. So definitely need to be checked and serviced. I'm not trying to scare anyone by saying that, but that is the truth. So get the connection back on. So that grey one that I've just put on, that new one, that's called the expansion relief valve, and that opens up at 8 bar. So when that's been opening up and I've been getting water through that little tun dish and out of the cylinder, it's because there's 8 bar of pressure in that cylinder. So that's a lot of pressure. Combi boilers, you know, don't ever go over 3 bars generally, and that's a lot of pressure. So 8 bar, we're talking a lot of pressure. So they've got to be treated with caution. So I've put that back on now. What I did do is check the expansion vessels again, and why I checked them, I'm not going to show you, but that left one, and this was only a few days later, the left one is actually back to 0. The right one is fine. So although I've just changed the pressure relief valve, it looks like I'm going to have to change expansion vessel as well. Well, I am, and this is a month later. So I've ran the system with only one expansion vessel really pressurised. But I've finally got back to the job. I've got myself a new expansion vessel. And this is the second part of the repair. So a little plastic thing there, I really don't know what that is, but right, lid back off. We're not going to mess about here. You've seen all this before. We need to take the pressure out of the system before we even touch it. That's the connection of the expansion vessel. Water off, I've made a vital mistake here as well. I haven't actually turned the electricity off. We'll see this later. But so water off, taps on, open the pressure relief valve to get a little bit more excess pressure out through the plastic tundish down that copper pipe. So now we know we can undo these and there's not going to be any water shooting out at 8 bar. 8 bar of pressure would not be fun. Unscrewing that nut with 8 bars of pressure behind it would not be good. It'd be like a jet wash. Both expansion vessels out. They seem to be full of water, and that is because of the left one being damaged. Because it's damaged and it hasn't got any air in anymore on the air side, it will just be full of water basically. So yeah, so I'm just checking it again, just showing you. Yeah, it's back to zero. Well, it stayed at 0. I've tried pumping up a few times and it's just stayed at 0. It pumps up initially, but then it's back to 0 within a day or two. That's the right hand one. That's actually gone down a little bit, but it's probably had quite a bit of work to do because it's been running on its own with the left one flat. So it's only lost a bit of pressure, and it probably lost a bit just by me checking it, connecting the pump. So we've pumped that back up to 3.5 bar on the right. And now we're going to replace the left one. Literally all we do, undo this from that little brass piece that connects them together. Yeah. So the right one isn't full of water, but the left one it's just literally full of water. And as you'll see, as you pour the water out, it's actually full of little rubbery little bits, which is the damaged diaphragm inside. If you feel them, they're all kind of rubbery, and you don't want all that in your water as well. So that's knackered and 100% needs replacing for new. So I'm actually just checking the new one. Yeah, it's 3.5 bars. Shouldn't really need to check a brand new one. It should come as it should. I've just given it an extra pump for what it's lost as I've connected every time you take the pump off or on, you sort of lose a little bit of air. So 3.5 bars. In that little connector, you can see a rubber washer. So again, no PTFE tape or anything is required. I haven't replaced the washer for new, so ideally a new washer would be nice, but it's the first time it's been off. I'm hoping that original washer will be okay once it's nipped up. I've also nipped the right hand side up as well, just to be on the safe side. So both expansion vessels tighten back up. Give the little cradle a nice clean for the two little expansion vessels to come and lay in. Yeah, and they're happy now, back in their little home. That's got a little washer in. Hopefully it'll be okay. So that's just tightened back up to that. And again, no tape required. We've got a washer there. Don't need to start putting tape on it. Yeah, just nip it up. So water back on, taps on. Yeah, check that they open up and we get water out of the tundish. That is important. You want to know that them pressure relief valves click open when you twist them. There, I just noticed that I didn't turn the electricity off. Very, very naughty. Yeah, bad move, but I've got away with it somehow. Well, I've not really touched any electrical connections, but it's still not advisable. Right, everything seems dry now. Tundishes, the expansion vessels are all pressurised. One's brand new. There's no leaks. There's a new pressure relief valve in there that's not passing. We're looking good. Good job done. To anyone who thinks they don't need servicing, there you go.